Hi, everyone. My name is Naseem Ahmadpour, and I am presenting this work on behalf of my co-authors, Lian, Loke, Yidan, Macdonald, and Rebecca Hart. I am pleased to present our research titled Understanding How Technology Can Support Social Emotional Learning of Children, a dyadic trauma-informed participatory design with proxies. 5 million adults in Australia live with unresolved childhood trauma. That is 20% of the population. Trauma involves various forms of neglect, separation, or abuse, among other forms of violence. Trauma may be described in terms of personal identity trauma, such as sexual abuse, secondary trauma, such as parents' experience of war, or collective trauma experienced by a group. Trauma may occur due to a single event or be cumulative, and it is complex and situated. We work with a mental health clinic that offers support in form of an integrated system of care, such as an assessment and treatment plans for children with history of trauma who experience severe, complex, and treatment-resistant mental health problems and disorders. A child with experience of trauma perceives many daily interactions as threat and therefore responds with high levels of emotional arousal, such as a state of being alert, angry, and accompanied by physiological manifestations. Emotion coaching of children may be integrated through a trauma-informed care. Parents are often engaged in therapy to help coaching the child and embed social emotional learning, which we refer to as SEL in this presentation and our work. And so our research started with a research question around how could we design technologies to support children and parents to put into practice emotion coaching strategies after they have transitioned out of the therapy context and into the home environment. We knew that we wanted to follow a trauma-informed design because children and parents who may be engaged throughout the research and design would be vulnerable and at risk of experiencing re-traumatization. As a result, and in consultation with the clinicians and therapists at the clinic, we decided to use a different approach and instead work with therapists as proxies who would represent children and parents in the process of research and design. And so a second research question emerged. In what ways can we conduct participatory design research with proxies in the mental health space when therapists play the role of parents and children? This is important as an approach and as a way of learning more about how we could embed a trauma-informed approach in any research or design study, because 70% of people will have at least one trauma experience in their life. To conduct a participatory design research with proxies, we invited 9 therapists to a workshop. They were all familiar with role-playing and enactment techniques through their training and practice. We used generative methods. We developed templates to help therapists develop enactment scenarios based on real client cases while maintaining the anonymity of the clients. We also used props in form of low-fidelity smartphone, tablet, or toy prototype to inspire body storming and idea generation in a workshop. The workshop started with a warm-up activity to prepare participants for enactment. Next, they discussed and developed enactment scenarios based on those real cases. They moved to separate rooms for enactment, and once finished, they came back for a group discussion and reflection. This is an example of an enactment scenario and how the scenario unfolded. The enactment encouraged therapists to play roles of parents and children based on the scenario. As they began enactment, the workshop facilitator would ask them to pause when the scenario demonstrated a moment of emotional difficulty for proxy parents attempting to emotion coach the proxy child. The facilitator would hand them a prop, and the participants incorporated this into their enactment and found a way to use it. In this way, they ideated effective ways to use the technology to support their emotion coaching. As a result, it became clear that this dyadic approach involving a proxy parent and a proxy child could be helpful when proxies have an intimate knowledge of the situation to shape the roles, when they have time to prepare before enactment, and when they feel safe in an environment, as the scenario could really involve high intensity and difficult moments. The findings revealed opportunities for technology to support parents in emotion coaching of children with history of trauma at home. We found that to embed social emotional learning at home to prepare the child to reflect on their emotional responses, especially to difficult situations, technology can be used to mediate conversation through non-direct shared interaction, enable emotion coaching expression through visual aids, offer resources in or after moments of disruptive behavior, assist with downregulating emotional arousal level. In our paper, we present a speculative design involving a mobile phone. On this slide, you can see an example of that. Importantly, through our work, we were able to develop what we call a dyadic trauma-informed participatory design with proxies. We proposed 7 guidelines for this kind of research, starting to set up a flexible study with open-ended instructions, generative tools, and props that can be used in multiple ways and cultivate ambiguity so that proxies can shape the roles. Involving proxies with intimate knowledge of the individuals and context they represent, co-creating scenarios based on real-world situation, and using generative tools that are in line with participants' existing practices, negotiating proxy roles to create space for the proxies to prepare for enactment, creating a safe environment by providing agency and flexibility for proxies to take the enactment to new directions, encouraging reflexivity by allocating time during and after enactment for reflection and discussion, and finally providing trauma-informed debriefing, counseling information, and resources to researchers and proxies because they might be also at risk of experiencing re-traumatization. We hope our findings can help in guiding future HCI work to integrate an ethic of care in participatory research with vulnerable groups. Thank you.